Hey, this is Marc Katz. Welcome back to the Love You podcast. This is a place where you can learn everything there is to know about dating, relationships, and men from a man's point of view. And I'm going to hold your hand through the process, the very, very messy process of dating, online dating, sex, setting boundaries, and most of all, choosing a quality guy in a sea of losers. Sorry guys, but I know you're not listening anyway. So today's episode is called "Have You Given Up on Online Dating?" You can see where I was going with it, with that loser thing. I just had a conversation that's kind of in my head right now, so I'll share the contents of that conversation. Before we begin, a little bit of housekeeping. If you enjoy the Love You podcast and you have not yet already done so, please subscribe so you can get this into your feed, whether it's on Apple, Spotify, or any podcast player. Please leave us a positive review on the aforementioned places because your words matter and they help us get seen in the algorithm. Please share it with a friend who you think can benefit from some straightforward advice from a guy who knows what he's talking about. I guess I'm going to start with the story. I was on the phone today with a woman who's been following me for 10 years. I won't out her, but if she's listening, she knows who she is. And we had a long conversation about this rich, full, independent life that she's built for herself in a not so densely populated area. And she has a lot to be proud of. She's successful at work. She's got some very meaningful hobbies and passions. She's very, very good at being single. And this is what happens when you are 59 and single. You get very, very good, and your life is built around that. Her life is not built around love. And top of the call, she told me that her strategy for finding a partner was literally to go to local theater and hope to find another cultured guy because she's an intelligent sophisticate. Now, I go to local theater, and my wife and I have season tickets. When we go to local theater, you know what you find? It is me and my wife, a whole bunch of people on date night, and mostly 70 to 75-year-old couples. If you are going to theater to hopefully find a sophisticated single man, and this woman is 59, I don't know that that is the best strategy, even though you should go see whatever play you want. But as the strategy to find love, so we got into it. We had an important conversation, and she said, online dating is terrible. There are no good guys online. I've seen it. I've tried it. Evan, you don't know how bad it is, as if I haven't been doing this for 20 years and I don't listen to women. Of course I know how bad it is. My answer is always, do you really think that the only good people in the world are women? How could it be that there's only good women and no good men? Even if 90% of men are not worthy of your time, that leaves 10%. How many men do you need to be happy for the rest of your life? One. So are you content? Are you content where you are right now? And the answer generally when people come to me is no. No one's on my mailing list for 10 years because they're content with the status quo. Change is hard. Change is scary. And this woman decided she doesn't want to change. She doesn't believe that online dating could work for her, which is the definition of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not banging on the online dating train. Like, if you can meet a guy in real life, and I'm going to give you a strategy to meet guys in real life later in this podcast. But online dating is the game. Everything else is a supplement. And the people who are making everything else a supplement and quitting online dating, in sales, it's lead generation. You just don't have that much opportunity. A woman I spoke to said, she might not have even been on a date in a year, right? And if she's lonely and wants to find love and wants to build something with someone, so she's not this way for the rest of her life, even though she's gotten really good at being alone, this is not a winning strategy. So today's conversation about online dating is about not what's good about online dating. It's a shit show. It's also a shit show that produces 40% of all marriages. So we really have to look at its efficacy and how you're doing it. So as a dating coach over 20 years, I got more notes on this episode than normal, so forgive me if I'm looking down for those watching on YouTube. Also, for those watching me on YouTube, what a snazzy shirt. I mean, my wife got me this. It's sort of festive, not Hawaiian-ish, but it's definitely like a summer vacation shirt. So I'm really, really bringing it. For those who are listening to the podcast, you're not going to get to appreciate the full splendor of my loud shirt. So I think we all need to evolve over time. I've already told you part of my evolution. I've been running my business a certain way for many years, and I realized I'm an extrovert. I need people. I want to talk to more people. I want to coach more people. I don't want to just be a guy who's giving advice online. So I'm encouraging more conversations. And if these words touch you and you need support, that's what I'm here for. So that's part of my evolution. I did one thing, it worked for a time, and then it didn't work, and we needed to pivot on that. When I was single, I also had to go through an evolution. As a married person, I also had to go through an evolution. When I was a single guy, I went on 1 or 2 dates a week for 10 straight years. That's how you rack up the big numbers. Now, I don't defend that, and it's not even something I'm proud about. I wish I could have figured it out sooner. It took me 10 years to figure out what I was doing wrong because nobody was helping me. There was no dating coach back then. I was the only guy doing it, and I couldn't figure it out myself. And so my methodology was always, I want to get married. I want to start a family. I'm not screwing around. I can't take a passive approach. I can't just take, I'm going to meet someone in real life. I was a writer then. Well, everybody's the equivalent of a writer now. Everybody works in small offices or works remotely and has a much smaller world than we used to have. All right, so one thing that I actually did right over the years was put myself back out there. Now, I made some mistakes. My girlfriend would dump me. I would activate my profile that night. Right back on the horse. No time for mourning. Was I healthy enough to date? No. Was I lonely? Yes. Was it better to not take long hiatuses? Probably. Debatable. Right? But the only way to get over a love is to move on to something new. Right? You don't sit around and say, I got fired. I'm going to be unemployed for the next 2 years. No, you got to find another job. And so I've been talking to a lot of women who this philosophy is really doesn't resonate with them. And it's fine. You know me, I never talk about right and wrong. I talk about effective and ineffective. If we agree that most men are not the right man, if we agree that real life is great, but real life doesn't produce enough opportunity, and that most guys do try online dating, there's a variance in quality, but most guys do try online dating, why would you rely on hopefully in happenstance meeting 3 guys a year that you have a crush on, where you feel in-person chemistry, which is wonderful, but then there's nothing else going on in between it? You're just relying on luck and happenstance. As a dating strategy, you would never rely on luck and happenstance as a weight loss strategy, as a job hunting strategy. You'd be much more diligent about it. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. It's not excusing the excesses of online dating. It's just that this is the only way that you can generate opportunities. I got women in their late 60s who are going on 1 or 2 dates a week, right? Finding good guys, finding boyfriends, finding relationships. And I've talked to women who haven't gone on, 1 or 2 dates in a year. And they're wondering, why is this so hard? Why am I so lonely? It's because they closed the door on online dating. So if you're one of those women who is burnt out on online dating, and remember, I don't blame you. It is harder now than it's ever been before, right? Due to the volume and the dating apps and the algorithms and the texting and the stuff that we talk about ad nauseum here. I am not turning a blind eye to how frustrating and how it could easily cause burnout. If anything, I'm just saying that the solution to finding a loving partner is not to give up on online dating. It doesn't further your goal. So we're not talking about right and wrong. You may be right that you've had a frustrating experience. It is ineffective if your goal is to actually find a partner. That's it. It's not helping you. If you buy 50 lottery tickets, you get a better chance of winning than if you buy 5 lottery tickets. That's just math. It's nothing personal. And so real life is wonderful. I mean, I met my wife in real life after 300 online dates. I share that story. I'm aware of the irony. Right? But remember, my wife and I were on Match.com at the same time. Right? The problem wasn't online dating. The problem was our narrow vision. She wouldn't be looking at a Jewish guy online. I wouldn't be looking for an older woman online. That's a human problem, not an online dating problem. But my soulmate was on the same dating site as me at the same time, and we didn't even see each other. Right? So not only were our search criteria wrong, if either of us had quit, well, then I just have to rely on happenstance. Right? So I just don't like happenstance as a dating strategy. Right? So yes, if you give up on online dating and you rely on real life, I talked to a few women via email. No, Evan, I'm really happy with myself right now. I'm happy with my work. I'm happy with my friends. And I've kind of just resigned myself to, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And again, if that's where you stand, I'm not here to convince you otherwise. I feel that it's limiting. I feel like it's not getting you what you deserve. You're just eliminating one problem and causing another one. The other one is that you're going to go a very long time without a date, very long time without a boyfriend, because you just don't have that many opportunities to find someone. And the odds that the person you meet cute with is your soulmate isn't much. You don't get better at dating by not dating. You don't get clearer on what you're looking for. You're just going to experience chemistry with a stranger and keep your fingers crossed. That's a dating strategy, keeping your fingers crossed. I just don't love it. So I want to encourage you to date in real life. And this is not a pro, online dating is perfect thing, as I've already said. It's that it's not the whole story. You should play pickleball if you want to play pickleball. You should get theater tickets if you want theater tickets. If it gives you joy and connection to join a running club or a book club or a trivia team like I do, #1 in the country, by the way, right? It's all good, and it's a value add. It makes you a fuller person, a wholer person. There's not a downside to real life. I'm not against real life. I'm against only real life. I like the both and solution, right? The methodology itself just doesn't lead to that many dates, but it can lead to more. And so that's what I want to talk about right now. I had a really interesting conversation. Share it with you in 1 second. But just know that when you take a break from online dating, that's a choice and it's viable. If you're burnt out, absolutely take a break, right? Take a week off, take a month off. Don't just turn it into a permanent vacation any more than I'm not feeling well, I'm going to quit the gym and I'm going to quit dieting and I'm going to lose all sense of focus and discipline and sort of hope my body holds up. Right? I use these comparisons because they're apt comparisons. You can't let the failure get in the way of your ultimate success. And your ultimate success is being with a partner. Nobody listens to a dating podcast because she wants to continue to be alone. You don't have to tell me that. I know that. All right, so I'm just trying to give you best practices to do so. So yeah, taking a break makes sense, but you ultimately have to do something different to get a different result. So it's not online dating. It's how you're dating online. It's not which app you go to. It's how you use the app. So let's put dating apps aside for a second. And let's just talk about a great piece of advice that I heard from a friend. His name is Louis Felix. He works for a good friend, Matchmaker Maria. And we were talking about the other day his advice, which he's given on television. And I'm not, I generally don't follow other people's dating advice. I make up my own from my own coaching and experience. But he said he shared this around, and I heard it, and I was like, that seems like something that I want to share with people. I want to give credit to him. He said the best piece of real-life dating advice you can make, and I want to echo this, is to make new single girlfriends. Not where do I go to meet a guy, right? Do I take up golf? No, not unless you want to play golf, right? Do I go to the shooting range? Should I try a scotch tasting? I mean, you can. It's just a very random scattershot way of finding a person. So what Louis says is make more girlfriends, because girlfriends have a more expansive universe. Men often don't have big friend networks, sad but true. Women are much more communal. They're much more connected. They have women's networking groups, right? The things we talked about, the hiking clubs and the book clubs and women's social events. I mean, it's women are better in that way. And so if you can find more women friends, it exponentially expands your social life, because each of these women friends is going to have cool stuff to do, right? And now you just say yes to things. You get creative. Just go with it. Someone invites you to go to an independent film premiere, go. Someone says we're doing wine and pottery one night, go. All right, there's not a downside. You'll get closer with your girlfriends. You'll find more of your people. And these women have their own friend networks, and they also might know some guys. So that's a great real-life strategy, but it's a long-term strategy, right? It's not easy to make a good girlfriend. It's not easy to get networked. And this thing is a larger work in progress. The great thing about online dating is you can get yourself a date tomorrow. I don't want you to go out with someone that fast, but you can get a date tomorrow. So to me, real life is the thing that fills you up, and it feels good, and it allows you to not get too down about online dating because you have a life. And online dating is just the lead generation and the prospecting that gives you more opportunities to go past 90% of men and message with 10% of men, so that you don't have to go all in on real life to provide you your future partner or husband. So you might meet cute guys in real life. I don't preclude it. I know many stories. Remember, 40% of marriages happen online, which means 60% of marriages don't happen online, right? But the reason so many people are doing it is because it is the only place that all single people turn to. I've been there. My wife's been there. My mom's been there. My sister's been there. So we could say, "Oh, Evan, you don't understand these guys, Evan." I absolutely understand. You cannot be a coach for women and not understand this. I'm just telling you that you're right. It's just not all of these guys, right? It might be 90% of the guys. It might be 95% of the guys. I'll grant you all of that. How many men do you need to make you happy for the rest of your life? The answer is just one. So if you needed a job, you wouldn't just say, I'm going to hopefully rely on my network. It's nice. Your network certainly will help, but I'm just going to place a couple calls and see if that works out. You'd probably get online. You'd probably work LinkedIn to some degree. I haven't had a job in many years, but people who are job hunting, who are not availing themselves of resources like LinkedIn, it's like looking for a job with one hand tied behind your back. Right? So yes, your real life network might be more direct and might be more likely to lead to a quality offering if you have connections. You just can't completely count on those connections. It's not one size fits all. So yeah, take yourself a breather if you're burnt out on online dating. You have every right to take a breather. Just don't turn it into a permanent hiatus, right? Life stressors getting in your way, right? Mentally ill kid, sick parent, downsized at work. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about dating. Right? Just keep this as a piece of your life. I'll show you how to do it better. I'll show you how to date better. I'll show you how to write a profile. I'll show you how to post photos. Show you how to flirt. I'll show you how to text. I'll do all those things. But what I can't do is make you have the perseverance that I had and that my clients had that have led them to success. I got two. I'm not going to read them to you right now, but I got two emails today from clients, one of whom is married, and I didn't even know it. The other one is living with her boyfriend of 9 months. These are also women who didn't believe, who hated online dating, and with my support, guidance, and handholding, they got the relationship that they wanted. There's many ways to find love. I just don't love luck as a strategy. I like you making your own luck. And if I could get you on a date with one quality guy a month, right? Maybe you go on 4 mediocre dates, but once a month you find a guy that you kind of like, you have a much better chance of getting rid of this fear and anxiety and loneliness and having someone to spend the next holiday with you. So I invite you to do that. It is my pleasure, it is my honor to hold your hand through the dating and relationship process. My name is Evan Marc Katz. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe on Apple, subscribe on Spotify, leave us a positive review. Right? And most importantly, reach out to me. Right? This is the meaning of life is relationships. I want to have a relationship with you, and you want to have a relationship with a real life, quality, relationship oriented guy. Go to evanmarckatz.com/book, and hopefully I'll get a chance to talk to you next week, and we'll see where we land and how I could serve you. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.